Throne of Seal Episode 135. From Yulong Pass came the crisis of Guan Kair, who was in the midst of exorcising demons. The 12 Wraith Kings were indeed powerful, but against the mighty strike of the divine artifact, they appeared insignificant, shattering into pieces. Upon their destruction, the necromancer god, Samijina, unleashed a world-shaking scream. He understood that the golden pagoda before him was insurmountable. He, possessing immense necromantic power, feared being devoured by this terrifying pagoda if he didn't act. Amidst frantic screams, Samijina spat out a mouthful of gray blood. The necromancer god pillar in the distance burst forth with an intense light. A terrifying gray light formed a gigantic entity/demon in the sky. This Joning demon lunged towards the eternal pagoda and forcibly absorbed the surrounding death domain, withdrawing it. This Joning demon represented Samijina's most fundamental power, unrelated to necromantic attributes. Meanwhile, a strange incantation emanated from Samijina's mouth. Below, in the demonic army camp, 10,000 howls rang out. Countless black beams of light projected from the camp, shooting towards Samijina. The bear demon god, Hualifu, and the other 6 demon gods also arrived behind Samijina with utmost speed, each connecting to the power of their respective demon god pillar. Blooming with different colors, the demon god pillars each manifested the primordial form of their respective races as shimmering apparitions. The 7 apparitions shone brilliantly, unleashing their strongest attacks towards the eternal pagoda. This combined attack of the 7 demon gods was a magnificent sight, unseen for nearly 1,000 years. Even the god of order and law, the wielder of the eagle throne, the divine knight Long Tianying, was blasted away under this overwhelming pressure. Samijina fought with all his might, drawing on the power of the entire demon race. Casting bloodline magic, he extracted a portion of his people's fundamental power to replenish himself, erupting with his strongest power. The demon army camp before Yulong Pass held the core power of the demon race, greatly amplifying Samijina's power. Coupled with the demon god pillar, Samijina unleashed his strongest attack. He had to fight with everything he had. Once his death domain was completely devoured and the 12 Wraith Kings fully absorbed by the eternal pagoda, Samijina's cultivation would decrease dramatically, his essence damaged, and his position as the 4th demon god lost. Therefore, he would rather cast bloodline magic, even if it meant severely weakening his people, to protect his own domain. The terrifying power of the 7 demon gods' combined attack defied simple description. The white and red light surrounding the eternal pagoda distorted wildly, yet it did not resist. Facing the combined force, the eternal pagoda frenziedly devoured all available death energy and the fragments of the 12 Wraith Kings. As the 7 beams of light were about to bombard the eternal pagoda, Long Tianying, in the distance, held his breath, his heart trembling. He saw Long Haochen inside the golden, shimmering pagoda. He was alone. Even for a divine knight, withstanding the combined attack of 7 demon gods, including Samijina and Hualifu, would be impossible. The terrifying pressure and spiritual energy fluctuations prevented him from approaching. However, just as the 7 beams of light were about to hit, the white and red light suddenly retracted with incredible speed, unaffected by the oppressive force. The pagoda and Long Haochen vanished instantly. The desperate attack missed completely, surging into the sky. The power of the combined attack was terrifying, turning the entire sky into a kaleidoscope of 7 colors. The clouds within a 1,000-mile radius disappeared. The 7-colored light lingered. The 7 demon gods groaned simultaneously. Samijina spat out another mouthful of gray blood, his face pale. He didn't dare to rest, rapidly absorbing the shattered death domain and the remaining soul fragments of the 12 Wraith Kings. His death domain had been significantly depleted, and 5 Wraith Kings' soul fragments were completely gone. This was the result only after the 7 demon gods used their fundamental power. Otherwise, the eternal pagoda would have left nothing behind. The bear demon god, Hualifu, couldn't gloat. The shock in his heart mirrored Samijina's. It was just a crystal-based knight. The divine artifact used before was a shield, but now it was a pagoda. Could this knight possess two divine artifacts? Moreover, this new divine artifact was incredibly effective against Samijina. For the first time since the start of the Holy War, Huali Fu felt a sense of oppression from humans. He hadn't expected the Night Temple to have such a powerful trump card. After the surprise attack on the camp, they had also ambushed Samijina, severely weakening him. It would take him years to recover. When the rabbit dies, the fox grieves. The other 6 demon gods' faces were grim. They didn't make any further moves. Having unleashed their fundamental power, their consumption was enormous. The Night Temple, on the other hand, had suffered no losses in this raid. The 7 demon gods had to admit this. Their attack hadn't eliminated a single enemy. Under these circumstances, they didn't dare make any more moves. They could only watch as Long Tianying flew back to the top of Yulong Pass's city wall. However, the experts of the Night Temple were even more shocked than the demon gods. The lower-ranked knights cheered, while the higher-ranked knights were filled with shock, astonishment, and bewilderment. They had seen the Golden Pagoda, but didn't know what it was and had never heard of it before. That the Night Temple possessed such a powerful divine artifact filled Long Tianying with questions. However, he was more worried about Long Haochen's safety. Invoking such terrifying power, Long Haochen might have paid a heavy price, perhaps even his life. Had the Eternal Pagoda not escaped the combined attack of the 7 demon gods, Long Tianying's worry would have been even greater. But did Long Haochen truly pay a price? He paid the price of a surge in spiritual power. A flash of golden light, and Long Haochen appeared on the first floor of the Eternal Pagoda. He subconsciously sat cross-legged as waves of scorching white light swirled around his body, rising frantically. A terrifyingly immense amount of light, elemental spiritual power surged into him at an astonishing speed. Although Long Haochen didn't want the Eternal Pagoda's help, he couldn't control himself. The Eternal Pagoda could suppress even Samijina, let alone him, at only the 8th rank. Long Haochen felt like his body was being scorched by flames. His 5 spiritual sheaths vibrated at an alarming rate. The incoming light attribute spiritual power was extremely pure, yet mixed with some death energy. Upon entering his body, it needed constant filtering by his 5 spiritual sheaths to expel the death energy. On this point, Long Haochen was resolute. Even the slightest trace of death energy within the light attribute spiritual power would not be integrated into his own divine power. His meeting with the Sun Moon Holy Nest was paramount. From them, he received advice even more helpful than the Sun Moon Holy Nest shield. Guarding one's heart was paramount for the Child of Light. Obtaining a divine artifact could enhance power, but if one couldn't guard their heart, even the Child of Light could be corrupted. Therefore, no matter the power gained, Long Haochen had to maintain the purity of his heart, uncontaminated by anything, especially death energy. He would never accept necromancy, the legacy of the deceased Saint Dharma god, the calamity Electrolux. The sudden influx of immense, pure spiritual power surprised Long Haochen. This wasn't condensed light elements, it could integrate with his body, becoming part of his strength. He had encountered this before, but never this intensely or massively. He understood this must be feedback from the Eternal Pagoda after receiving tremendous benefits. When the Eternal Pagoda's projection appeared, the burning sensation in Long Haochen's chest spread, and he fell into a semi-conscious state. But his strong spiritual power allowed him to sense the changes outside. In his perception, the Eternal Pagoda was like a living being, not an object. When fighting Samijina, it led the necromancer god by the nose, especially evident when ambushing the 12 Wraith Kings. From the Eternal Pagoda, Long Haochen sensed a heart-pounding greed as it frantically devoured Samijina's domain power and the Wraith Kings. When Samijina and the 6 demon gods launched their fundamental power attack, the Eternal Pagoda instantly took Long Haochen and vanished, ceasing its absorption without hesitation. Because of his close connection to the Eternal Pagoda, Long Haochen's feelings were more profound. He sensed that the Eternal Pagoda, when faced with the attack of the 7 demon gods, exuded disdain. It didn't confront them directly. Long Haochen was certain the Eternal Pagoda could withstand the attack, but chose to leave because it wasn't worth it. The Eternal Pagoda was driven by self-interest, utterly rational. This caused Long Haochen to feel a deep-seated apprehension. In past battles, the Eternal Pagoda had truly helped him only once, fleetingly. When he and Kair were in danger previously, it remained inactive. This time, however, it appeared due to immense potential benefits. This made the kind-hearted Long Haochen uncomfortable. He gained a deeper understanding of the super-divine artifact, discovering that even Electrolux's soul imprint couldn't completely control it. The Eternal Pagoda possessed its own intelligence and judgment, strengthening Long Haochen's resolve to refuse Electrolux's legacy even further. Using powerful mental control, Long Haochen set up a spiritual power net within his body to prevent death energy from entering, allowing only filtered spiritual power to merge with his own. This wasted a significant portion, but maintaining purity was more important. Long Haochen felt a stirring of spiritual power in his hips Huantiao acupoint, the location of his next spiritual aperture. He hadn't expected to feel anything there so soon. He seized the opportunity to experience this restless fluctuation, accumulating experience for future breakthroughs. Time passed. On the first floor of the Eternal Pagoda, golden light continuously surged towards Long Haochen, merging into his body. He filtered a portion and absorbed the rest. A faint golden light appeared on his body once more. Had Long Haochen entered deep meditation, he might have opened his 6th and 7th spiritual apertures at once. But he didn't want to. After his cultivation ended, he felt a sense of unwillingness amidst his pleasant surprise. He didn't want to accept the Eternal Pagoda's help. It felt like a debt he couldn't repay. Furthermore, he had decided against stepping onto the 3rd floor. However, he couldn't deny the immense benefits received. After breaking through to the 8th rank, despite constant cultivation, filling his shoulder spiritual sheaths took time. As a child of light, his absorption of light elements was fast, but the rate of spiritual power increase was slowed by the additional compression process. At the end of this session, he was pleasantly surprised to discover his shoulder spiritual sheaths were each 1/3 full. The Eternal Pagoda had provided him with a substantial amount of the purest spiritual power. After filtering, it had decreased. Otherwise, the number would be even higher. His total spiritual power was close to 37,000. It was a huge improvement. Long Haochen turned and glanced with complex emotions at the statue of Electrolux on the 1st floor of the Eternal Pagoda. Calming himself, he activated the teleportation, wanting no lingering attachment to the place. Every time he thought of Electrolux and the many humans killed with the Eternal Tower, his heart ached. After a flash of golden light, Long Haochen reappeared in the silent night sky. The golden light flashed and disappeared quickly. Having opened his spiritual body, he froze momentarily before falling towards the ground. Hearing his grandfather's reminder, Long Haochen's emotions fluctuated violently again. He didn't hide it, nodding vigorously. Long Tianying sighed softly, lamenting the suffering of children. If it weren't for the demons, he could have presided over Long Haochen's wedding. He reminded Long Haochen to treat Kair well, as Shengyu wasn't easy to get along with. Shengyu was a generation older than Long Tianying, but Long Tianying, possessing the throne of God's seal, was more powerful. Long Haochen asked to leave immediately, but Long Tianying forbade it, asking him to stay until his departure. Long Haochen's emotions gradually calmed. Long Tianying told him that while he supported rebuilding the Demon Hunt Squad, he still worried about his safety. He was Long Tianying's only grandson and needed to protect himself for the Alliance and for his grandfather. After a moment of silence, Long Haochen hugged Long Tianying, who smiled happily, feeling like he truly had a grandson now. As Long Tianying expected, the demons didn't attack after daybreak. The demon camp was rapidly mobilizing. The heavily damaged Divine Emperor Legion retreated to the building and tended to the wounded. Though the 3 forbidden curses caused losses, the corpses not reduced to ashes became food. After being severely injured, Sammy Gina merged with the demon god column and went into seclusion. Command fell to Huali Fu, who didn't dare overexert the demon race's strength. Their food supply had been replenished, but more importantly, the demon race was weakened by Samijina's attack, which drew upon their life force. The demon army's air force was almost entirely composed of this race. They couldn't attack Jade Dragon Pass at this time. The battles with Long Tianying and Long Haochen had made Huali Fu realize humanity's strength and foundation. He decided to regroup before attacking again. One day later, as night fell, Long Haochen and Han Yu quietly left Jade Dragon Pass, heading south. Sammy Gina and Huali Fu were unaware that the Night Temple's Saint Nighthead had left. At this time, Jade Dragon Pass had only Long Tianying, a divine knight, as guardian. The Night Temple's true trump card wasn't Long Haochen. Long Tianying had a reason for confronting the demon army with his current lineup. Leaving Jade Dragon Pass, Long Haochen and Han Yu felt a sense of freedom. They were going to reassemble their team and understood Long Tianying hadn't checked their merit points. Leaving was equivalent to meeting their companions. They had been separated, and their longing surpassed everything. Their first destination was Exorcism Pass, where the Assassin Temple and Kyre were located. Long Haochen couldn't calm down. His excitement caused his spiritual power to fluctuate, affecting his light element absorption. But he couldn't control his emotions, thinking only of Kyre, yearning to be by her side. They headed southwest first, into the interior of the Temple Alliance, to avoid the demon army. Carrying 2 people was no problem for New King. Han Yu had a light body and high innate internal spiritual power. New King's affinity for him was second only to Long Haochen. With Long Haochen replenishing New King's spiritual power, they flew quickly towards Exorcism Pass. The holy war at Exorcism Pass had raged for a year and a half, growing fiercer. Among the 6 temples, Town Difficulty Pass had the hardest time defending, followed by Exorcism Pass. Each human fortress was led by one temple. The Assassin Temple and the Night Temple had a difference in overall strength, but not a large one. Exorcism Pass struggled because of their class characteristics. Knights, medium-armored warriors, were like heavy infantry, a metal barrier, when defending a city. Assassins had powerful attack power but poor defense. They excelled at stealth and assassination, but not sieges or defense. Consequently, the Assassin Temple had suffered heavy losses. If not for the Night Temple's Radiant Angel Knight Squad, Exorcism Pass would have been breached several times. The Night Temple provided immense help, but the Holy War was fought simultaneously at 6 fortresses. Each temple needed to fulfill its own defensive duties before aiding others. Among the 72 demon gods, the top 3 would appear in the Holy War. Sammy Gina and Huali Fu were at Jade Dragon Pass. The Night Temple, under immense pressure, was willing but unable to help further. Over the past year and a half, 1/3 of the Assassin Temple's high-ranking members had died. Almost everyone below Shang Yu was injured. Senior experts had joined the fight. Every repelled demon attack came at a heavy price. Shang Yu stood on the Exorcism Pass city wall. Exorcism Pass was a natural barrier, but inferior to Jade Dragon Pass. Backed by the demonic warding mountain range, there were no rear worries. They only needed to block attacks from one direction. But its natural defenses and height weren't as good as Jade Dragon Pass. The structures on the city wall were damaged. Fewer than 50 mages remained who could cast magic. Almost all of the Assassin Temple's Saint Transformation experts were on the walls resisting the enemy. Shang Yu didn't know how much longer they could hold out. Fortunately, the demons had also suffered heavy casualties, and their attacks had decreased in frequency. Kyre, dressed in black without armor, stood on the Exorcism Pass city wall, her brow furrowed, eyes filled with worry. A year and a half had passed, and she had grown taller and more slender, possessing the qualities of a young woman. Compared to when she parted with Long Haochen, she had a colder, more callous air. Though not as much as before her loss, the carnage no longer frightened her. Shang Lingxing stood beside Shang Yu, her face pale, right arm wrapped in thick gauze. Exorcism Pass didn't even have priests. Relying on doctors for injuries showed the severity of the situation. Kair asked Shang Yu for permission to fight. The demons had reached the top of the wall. Both sides engaged in brutal melee. This indicated Exorcism Pass's defenses were critical. Otherwise, the enemy wouldn't have breached the wall. The main demon force attacking consisted of emotion demons, two-headed demons, flame demons, Kue wolf demons, a massive number of double-blade demons, and demon eye warlocks. This combination had fewer strong individuals than at Jade Dragon Pass, but their advantage lay in sheer numbers. And they had ample corpses for food. Please give us a like and subscribe, fellow Taoists. Let's continue our chat in the next episode.